Winston-Salem teen is lucky to be alive after he nearly drowned at a Brunswick County beach this Labor Day weekend. WWAY's Matt Bennett joins us now with more on what this family is calling a miracle. Matt?
Hannah, this is truly a case of the right people being in the right place at the right time. The nurse who revived him actually told me if this had happened 10 or 15 minutes later, she would have been gone.
If God had not placed the people strategically on the beach on Saturday at Oak Island, our child wouldn't be alive. We would be planning a funeral, not planning on going home.
17-year-old Jackson Boswell and his family were enjoying a day at the beach when a terrifying string of events happened on Oak Island.
Our 17-year-old came up to ask to put his swim shirt on. I put his swim shirt on him and we were kind of laughing, and he was then going back out to the water to his stepfather and his siblings.
Jackson suffers from epilepsy. As he was entering the water, he suffered a grand mal seizure.
I seen him hit the water, walking in towards me. And our other son said he couldn't touch the ground. And by the time I turned around to pick him up and turn back around, that's when it all happened.
Before shore could reach his stepson, bystanders saw his lifeless body in the water and pulled him out.
I saw people coming out of the water with something in their hands, and then I saw the color of the swim shirt, and I realized that that was my child, and so I just immediately started running towards the water.
Off-duty nurse Holly Quinn from Greensboro was spending time at the beach with her own family and happened to be right there. She and her mother, also a nurse, jumped into action.
They pulled him up to the sand, like far enough away from the water to where he wasn't submerged, and kind of dropped him at my feet, and I just started compressions. I mean, he was not breathing. He did not have a pulse.
After minutes of compressions came a sign of life.
He immediately started expelling water, and we realized that he had a pulse back.
Emergency crews arrived and transported Jackson to New Hanover Regional Medical Center, where he is recovering. His family forever grateful for what they call a miracle.
We are very thankful for Oak Island Rescue. We're very thankful for Oak Island community, that all the people that were at the beach this weekend played a huge role in his recovery.
Jackson was taken off a ventilator yesterday and is breathing on his own. His family says he's a little disoriented, but he is definitely on the road to recovery. Hannah.
A Winston-Salem teenager is back home tonight after a scary trip to the beach with his family. He had a seizure while in the water and nearly died.
Off-duty first responders weren't about to let that happen. WFMY News 2's Alma McCarty talked to the family, grateful for the help of strangers.
It took only moments for the feeling of helplessness to wash over Catherine Wadford.
And mother's instinct is to immediately kind of jump in there. He wasn't even blue, he was gray. He was just completely lifeless and laying there, and I knew that I couldn't do anything for him.
On Saturday at Oak Island, her son Jackson Boswell, who has epilepsy, had a seizure while in the water. Jackson's siblings and his stepdad couldn't reach him.
The water was great. You know, there shouldn't have been no reason that I shouldn't have been able to get to him, but God kept me away from him because he knew I couldn't do nothing for him.
But it just so happened that nurses and firefighters were already on the beach and pulled him to shore.
It was kind of like a surreal moment, because like all these people who just didn't know him came together and just started helping, and it was like, it's crazy how people can just do that.
Catherine said after 3 to 5 minutes of compressions, the nurse from Greensboro got a pulse.
That was kind of a sigh of relief. It wasn't really the full sigh of relief that I was looking for yet.
They rushed Jackson to a nearby hospital. His mother prayed for a stronger sign of hope. The next day, his mom squeezed his hand and he opened his eyes.
He couldn't say that he knew that it was us at that point, but we knew it by the way that he looked when he looked at us.
Before heading home, Jackson met some of the heroes who helped him. He told me that seizure was one of the worst.
I have had some serious happen that close to that before.
Reflecting now, his family is grateful, praising God for the Good Samaritans on the beach when they needed them most.
He shows himself and reveals himself to us in every situation.
Alma McCarty, WFMY News 2.
This is the seizure that we're not going to make it out of.
No pulse, face down, and floating in the ocean. It was a 10-year-old swimmer on a busy Labor Day weekend at Oak Island who first noticed something was seriously wrong.
And I was saying, "Are you okay? Do you need help?" And then we all started saying, and that's when his family noticed.
Saturday afternoon, bystanders pulled 17-year-old Jackson Boswell's limp body from the water and dropped him at Holly Quinn's feet.
He was lifeless. He was a different kind of blue than I've ever seen a patient in my entire 20 years of nursing career.
Quinn is a nurse anesthetist at Moses Cone in Greensboro. She and her mom, a retired nurse, jumped into action on the beach, starting compressions and clearing Jackson's airway.
It was scary and stuff like that because you just see all of this water fizzing out of his body.
And I thought, man, I hope this works because I don't want to be the reason this kid dies. And then, as I was doing compressions, I could hear praying around me, which is amazing. And that was coming from the family and from bystanders.
The prayers worked.
All I remember is just getting hit by the wave.
Jackson woke up in the hospital after suffering an epileptic seizure and nearly drowning.
After I got up out of the bed, the first time I ever walked, I was like, thank you for saving my life.
One of his first stops when he was released was Oak Island Rescue, just one of the many first responders and strangers that all came together to make a miracle.
The only thing we shared in common that day when the sun came up was that we loved the beach. But by the end of the day, everyone loved Jackson and everyone wanted Jackson to be okay.